everybody, today is our final lesson on Fortunately the Milk. So we're going to read the story and then do a little task on it. So I hope you enjoy the final bit of our book. The aliens looked at me, then they looked at each other, and then they sighed, with a noise like 100 elephantine snot bubbles all deflating at once. Right, they said. It was at that moment that a voice louder than anything I have ever heard, and I had heard a volcano erupt at very close range, said, "Galactic Police, do not move!" My hands shook, but the milk did not touch the milk, and the universe did not end. There were red and blue flashing lights, and then, stepping off their space bikes, there were about half a dozen uniformed dinosaurs holding unmistakably large and extremely serious weapons. They pointed their weapons at the green globby aliens. "You are charged with breaking into people's planets and redecorating them," said a noble and imposing-looking Tyrannosaurus Rex. "And then, with running away and doing it again somewhere else, over and over, you have committed crimes against the inhabitants of 18 planets and crimes against good taste." What we did to Rigel 4 was art," argued a globby alien. "Art? There are people on Rigel 4, said an Ankylosaurus, who have to look up every night at a moon with 3 huge plastered ducks flying across it." Something very long with a head on the end of it came over to us. It was attached to a very large body on the other side of the room. "Who are you?" it asked Professor Stegg, "and why is your gorilla holding a trans-temporally dislocated milk container?" "I'm not a gorilla," I said. "I am a human father. The human is holding the milk in order to make these evil redecorating snot bubbles go away and stop menacing this planet and us," said Professor Stegg. The Diplodocus in the police cap opened its mouth and didn't say anything. The Tyrannosaurus, who had handcuffed all the green globby people together with something that looked a lot more like pink string in the can than it looked like handcuffs, which was a good thing because they probably didn't have hands, and they definitely didn't have wrists, looked at us, and his eyes opened wide. "Great day in the morning," he exclaimed. "A biped, a stegosaurus, a floaty ball person carrier," and he stopped, as if unable to go on. A pteranodon flapped over to us, then landed at Professor Stegg's feet. It looked up at him and said hesitantly, Could you be, the inventor of Professor Stegg's pointy zooming into outer space machine, of Professor Stegg's really good moves around in time machine? Would you be the author of My Travels into the Extremely Far Future and What I Found There, Professor Stegg, wisest of all dinosaur kind? Madam, is it truly you?" "It is," said the professor. "Madam," I thought, embarrassed, "and this is my assistant." The pteranodon extended a wingtip for me to shake, and without thinking, I moved the second milk from my right hand to my left, where the first milk was. Everybody gasped. Unfortunately, the milk that had been in my right hand, which was the same as the milk that was already in my left hand, the same milk 15 minutes apart, touched each other. I held my breath. There was a fizzing noise and a mewing as if 100 kittens were being agitated in an enormous basket. Professor Stegg closed her eyes. "I can't look," she said. 3 purple dwarves with flower pots on their heads appeared from nowhere and began to do a little dance. "Did the universe end?" said the Tyrannosaurus, with his eyes tightly scrunched closed. "Look," I said. We all watched the dwarves dance. They weren't human, and they weren't dinosaurs. They had purple skin and orange beards, and the flower pots on their heads had lots of flowers growing out of them. They did a complicated sort of dance with lots of leg kicking and shouts of "Oi" and "Olé" and "Patung," and then, as strangely as they had come, they vanished. "Ah," said Professor Stegg. "It was always a possibility that this might happen, and fortunately, the universe has not ended." She pressed the button again with her tail. A small hole in space and time opened up. I was standing on the other side with a baffled expression on my face. "Catch!" I shouted, and threw the milk through the hole. As the portal closed, I saw me catch the milk using my stomach. The green globby aliens, having been rounded up and taken away, all the space dinosaurs gathered around. "I can't believe it," said the Diplodocus. Professor Steg, just like in the comics, the dinosaur who taught us that in the far future small mammals will eat their breakfast cereal with milk on it. Inventor of the button, she's here in front of us with her gorilla. Not a gorilla, but a human father, said Professor Steg. And all the other dinosaurs gasped and said things like, how wise she is, and what a brain, and how can you tell the difference between that creature and a gorilla? Is it the shoes? Professor Steg said, this human father has been my companion on my strange journey into the future. Now, before I take my leave of him, and come with you, O space dinosaurs, we should sing to him one of the great old dinosaur songs. They sang me a song in a 6-part harmony called How Do You Feel This Morning When You Know What You Did Last Night? Then they sang me a song called Don't Go Down to the Tar Pits, Dear, Because I'm Getting Stuck on You. The Galactic Police dinosaurs sang me a song about the Galactic Police and saving people all over the universe and driving very fast space bikes. And then they all sang a song called I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Hard, Hairy, Wet White Crunches, which was an ancient dinosaur song that had apparently been written by Professor Steg's Aunt Button. There is nothing in the whole of creation as beautiful as dinosaurs singing in harmony. Now, said Professor Steg, I shall go off in my floaty ball person carrier with my newfound dinosaur space patrol friends, and I shall explore the universe, and then I shall return to my own time and write a book about it. You actually write several books, said the Diplodocus. Professor Steg's Guide to Everything in the Whole of the Future was my favourite. It's very inspirational. I said goodbye to all of the dinosaurs. I thanked Professor Steg for saving my life. So there's his book. And there's Dad with the milk. Oh dear. Not at all, she said. We were both fortunate that you had the milk with you. It's not every container of milk that saves the world, after all. That was me that saved the world, I said, not the milk. The space dinosaurs all had their pictures taken holding the milk and smiling at the camera. What are you going to do with the milk? They asked me. Are you going to put it in a museum? No, I am not, I told them. I'm going to give it to my children for their breakfast cereal, and possibly I will pour some in my tea. Professor Steg nipped back up the rope and climbed into the basket of her balloon. The last I saw of any of them, the hole inside of the flying saucer was fading into light so bright I had to close my eyes and look away. And then I was standing at the back door of our house, none the worse for wear. Fortunately, the dinosaurs had given me back the milk after they had had their photos taken with it. So I came in, and here I am. That was what my dad said. I looked at my sister, and my sister looked at me. Then we both looked around the kitchen, at the calendar on the wall with the hot air balloons on it, at my dinosaur models and my sister's ponies, and my sister's vampire books, at the picture of the volcano I had painted when I was little last year, which was still up on the fridge. You can see you've even got the people with the dark black hair there as well. We looked at those things and we looked at my dad. You know we don't believe any of this. Said my sister. We don't, I told him. Not any of it. Especially not how you saved the world from being remodelled, all the pirates. Not any of it, I said. My father shrugged. Suit yourselves, he said. But it was all true, and I can prove it. How? Yes, how? Asked my little sister. Well, said my father, putting it down on the kitchen table. Here's the milk. And then he went back to reading his paper. But what's this underneath the milk? It's the doubloon which he was given by the pirates. So did it happen or not? Now, as we've now finished reading the story, today's task is a book review of Fortunately the Milk. Have a look at this template and design your own book review. Make sure you have covered all the different sections in your review. When recommending the book, make sure you include your opinion, so explain why you liked or disliked it. Maybe if there were some bits you did like, but some bits you didn't. What was your favourite part? Remember, there were loads of different characters in this book. Do you have a favourite character? So, here is your book review template. So your title is Fortunately the Milk. Your author is Neil Gaiman. Now this is a fiction book because it is a storybook. Non-fiction book will be telling us facts. So a brief explanation of what the book is about. Loads going on in that one, so plenty of room to write about there. Who would you recommend the book to and why? So do you think this is for adults, for young children, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2? Who do you think would enjoy this book and why? So in this one, you might want to put about your opinion. So what you think was good about it or what you didn't like it about it, and why you think people should read it. An illustration is a picture to do with the book. So here you might draw the Milk, you might draw Professor Steg, you might draw the Galactic Police, you could draw any character you want to do with our book. Give it a rating out of 5. Give it a rating out of 5. So 5 being the best and 1 being the worst, or none if you really, really hated it. I hope you don't put none. Hopefully you have enjoyed at least some of the book. And then can you write 3 facts that you've learnt or 3 things that you've learnt about one of the characters? So 3 things that have happened to one of the characters or that you've learnt about them. So any 3 facts about the book. Okay. So thank you so much for joining with our online English lessons. This will be our last proper English lesson. And next week we'll be doing something a little bit different. I hope you've enjoyed the book we've shared. Don't forget to send any work you've been getting up to myself and Miss Lofthouse. And I will see you all soon. Take care.